make sure that you use that org chart as a roadmap. Don't use it as a way to create barriers and silos, but see those lines on that chart as linkages so that you can partner with the right people for your success.
Welcome to the Published and Paid podcast, where we share book, business, leadership, and life lessons in 20 minutes or less to help you build a thought leadership brand and business. My name is Jasmine Womack. I'm a former middle school language arts teacher turned seven-figure entrepreneur, and I am glad that you are here. Let's get started.
All right, welcome back to an episode of the Published and Paid podcast. This is a different one, guys. We are shooting live from New York Times Square, and I am here live and in person with Dr. Keena Mosley. She's the author of the new book, Launch to Impact: Essential Foundations to Optimize Your Influence and Accelerate Success as a Developing Leader. Now, Dr. Keena has been in the leadership space for quite some time, for decades now. She has a huge and long track record behind her. This is her second book, and she was able to take this book from idea to New York Times Square billboard in 20 weeks. So for all of y'all saying that, hey, I'm too busy, for all of y'all saying I don't have time, listen, she is proof that it can be done. So welcome to the podcast, Dr. Keena.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for bringing me to Times Square.
Absolutely, absolutely. Please introduce yourself. You know, we have our YouTube viewers who are going to be watching this. We're on live, actually, in the background. You guys might not be able to see because of the glare, but the billboard is up. Yeah, please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are to our viewers and to those listening in.
So hello everyone, as Jasmine said, my name is Dr. Keena Mosley. I am a two-time author now. First book is Reigniting Your Impact: Actionable Strategies for Overcoming Leadership Setbacks and Defeat. And now on Times Square, we have Launched to Impact. And as Jasmine said, I have been in the leadership space, in the education space, for almost 30 years in leadership and over 30 years in education. And I really specialize and focus on working with developing leaders. And so this latest book is my love letter to developing leaders, because I just feel like we do such a good job of making sure that people and staff have all the skills that they need, and when they go into leadership, we continue to focus on the entry-level skills, but we don't focus enough on what they need to be effective leaders. And so that's just as important, if not more important, when you're becoming a new leader.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So tell me about your journey in leadership and what makes you so passionate about doing this work.
So as a leader, first of all, I'd have to say that I've been a leader since I was a child. I didn't actually really think about it, hadn't ever like conceptualized that, but I've been a leader since I was a child. And my cousins actually helped me to see that. And so being able to apply that to my career, being a teacher in the classroom, being a team leader, continuing to move forward in my leadership journey to the point where I was supervising hundreds of staff for a multi-million-dollar program, and then now moving into my own consulting business. I definitely have, the background. I have the formal education because I have a master's degree in leadership. I have a doctorate degree in educational leadership. So I have both the practical and the theoretical. I have the experience and I have the degrees, and I've worked with hundreds of leaders across the country.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So for someone who is a new leader or emerging leader, why do they absolutely need your book?
You need this book simply because, first of all, you don't always have the confidence that you need to be the leader that everyone is expecting you to be. When you step into leadership, there are all these unwritten rules and all of these things that you need to know that people won't necessarily sit down and tell you. They'll tell you all of the requirements. They'll tell you all of the procedural type of things for whatever work you're doing. But there are many times that you will need core leadership skills. You need to know how to talk to people. You need to know how to communicate and synthesize information. You need to know how to build your confidence. And the biggest thing that I see new leaders lacking is confidence. And usually what happens is they come in too hot or they come in too timid. And so this book is going to allow leaders to have that level of confidence that they need so that they can execute effectively. And so that they can stand and deliver in those times when they don't necessarily have someone that they can reach out to and get the support that they need.
That's good. That's really good. Now, I know, like, just from my experience, my former experience in education, I'll tell anybody, I didn't leave because, I was ready to leave. I left because of leadership.
Yep.
I left because of leadership. So to the people that are listening, that are struggling with having people in place who are their leaders or supervisors who are challenging to work with, what type of advice, could you give them?
Well, obviously, I'm going to say the next time it's an important skill to be able to manage up. And as you learn your leader, you need to make sure you're studying everything about them. You understand their nuances. You understand what makes them tick, what sets them off. And then you begin to adjust your approach so that you can navigate that space accurately. And you know how to massage that personality, so to speak, so that you can be successful in that space. And understand that nobody ever arrives at being a good leader. That every person, every leader, every supervisor, every manager still has to grow and evolve. And so for those of us that are following those people that are still growing and evolving, it's important that you study them so that you can grow and evolve with them, and you know how to manipulate the space that you're in so that you can get the results so that you and your leader can be successful.
That's so good. Now, for new and emerging leaders who may lack the confidence and the know-how to obtain buy-in from their teams, what would you suggest? Like, what are like the first 3 critical things that they need to do to, create authority while creating community within the organization?
I think, so first of all, let me say that in this book, we have 6 key strategies that I focus on. And then that's it, y'all.
That's the billboard. We're going to see if listen, we're shooting this live, so we're going to see if it shows up, clear, because from our view, it's showing a glare. But I'm going to actually pause at one point and show you guys so that you can see it clearly. But go ahead.
Okay. So to get buy-in, first of all, as I said, you need to study. Study your team. Just as important as studying your leader, you also need to study your team. The first responsibility of leadership is to learn. And so you are learning everything you can about your team so that you can then adjust your approach according to what you have learned about your team members and the space that you are currently navigating in. So that makes a transition into the next thing, which is making sure you understand the culture that you're operating in. Every team, every department, every organization is different and it has its own culture. You need to be very much aware of what that is and what the unwritten rules are, the unwritten expectations are for you as you navigate that space. And also understand that if you've been promoted within an organization, the rules change from your last position to your current position. Every time your seat changes, your title changes, your office changes, the rules change, and so you've got to pay attention and know what those things are. But the last thing that I would say is make sure that you use that org chart as a roadmap. Don't use it as a way to create barriers and silos, but see those lines on that chart as linkages so that you can partner with the right people for your success.
That's so good. For new and emerging leaders, what are some things that they can do to create culture?
So as you're creating culture, first of all, you need to understand that culture is already there and present, right? And so you want to shape and inform the culture. You want to blend in with the cultures that's already there, but you don't want to do it from the perspective of let's just go with the status quo. First, you want to blend in so that as you start to make changes, the changes are not so drastic that people begin to repel you, that you begin to offend others, that you want to be strategic by building the right relationships. You want to build the right alliances. You want to make sure you understand as you are presenting new ideas and information that you are presenting it in a way that is not going to be a significant shock, but you're going to present it in a way where people can understand, be able to digest it, and that you're able to present that change in small but necessary chunks.
That's so good. That's so good, because a lot of people, when they think about creating culture, either they don't know how, or they try to go in like we've seen across and just make immediate cuts. And what you're saying is to study the organizations, understand that cultures already exist.
Absolutely.
But you still have to make it your business to understand what's going on and to begin to implement changes in phases.
Absolutely.
Step by step. Now, why is that essential, to implement it in phases as opposed to just coming in and making widespread changes immediately?
Well, because what happens is when you make changes too drastically, you don't always see how everything is connected together, right? And so you make a change in one area, there's almost always going to be a domino effect. You want to make sure that you try to minimize that as much as possible. There is a thing called change fatigue. That is a very real thing for people. And so when you have change fatigue, then you have people that are not operating effectively, that are not working to their full capacity. People are going to be confused. They're going to be stepping over each other. They're going to fumble the bag and fumble the ball and all of those things that you don't want. And then they just can't take on all of that information. As adults, you can only take in so much at one time. Yeah. And so when you're making changes, understand how all the pieces work together so that you can come up with an effective strategy to make the changes in ways that are meaningful. Yeah, you want change, but you want the change to be meaningful and sustainable. You don't want change just for the sake of change.
So good. That's so good. Now, what do you feel is the role of mentoring in leadership development?
I think mentoring is critical. However, every person that has gone before you, maybe even every person that is your supervisor, is not necessarily the person that should be mentoring you, because not every leader is a good mentor. First of all, they may not have the time to mentor you. And then you put yourself in a situation when that person doesn't have time, now you're frustrated. You're frustrated because you want them to give you something that they just can't give you, whether it's a time constraint, whether it's a resource constraint, whether it's an access ability. So you want to make sure that, yes, you have a mentor. I've had a mentor most of my life in one aspect or another. And understand that mentors change, because a person that's a good mentor for you in one season of your life or career may not be best suited for you in another season in your life and career. And you just have to understand when you're making those shifts who you need in your life, right? If you need someone that's going to help you to be a more effective communicator, it may not be the person that has helped you to learn new skills or to kind of carve out your path, right? That might be the person you need at the first level, but the next level you need somebody else, right? And your mentor should be someone that has experienced a level of success that you have not yet attained, because how can they really mentor you if they are on the same level as you or have not even achieved that same level of success?
Yeah, that's good. And those are some good reflections and some good questions too. Okay, so what inspired you to write this book?
I think for me, the thing that inspires me the most is knowing that I have had a really good time over my career. I've been really fortunate and blessed to have great leaders. And then there was this one time that I did not have a great leader. And in that instance, more than ever, I realized how critical it was. I had staff members that needed things from me that I wasn't able to give because of the toxicity of that environment. And I was being restricted, and I saw how desperate and hungry they were and how they were trying to reach out to me. And then when I was working at the county level, seeing how so many other people didn't have those experiences, and I realized that there was a need for solid mentors, for new leaders, because unfortunately, so many people feel like they feel intimidation. Honestly, that's what it is. They feel intimidation when someone is interested in becoming like them. And so when you express a need or a desire to grow and develop, so many people think, but what's going to happen to me? Well, the truth of the matter is that's a real thought. But what that person should be thinking, if you're the one that has the opportunity to mentor, you should be thinking what's going to happen to me is I'm going to move on, and I need to leave a legacy.
Right.
And for me, mentoring is all about legacy. And so I'm not going to do any of what I do forever. The only thing that I want to do forever is be saved and be married. Everything else is short term.
Right.
And as I am making progress in my career, I don't want to leave a void when I move on to my next destination.
Right.
And so a mentor should be feeling that same way.
Right. So I want you to close out with one piece of advice for our listeners, because we have a lot of CEOs, a lot of leaders, a lot of entrepreneurs listening to this podcast. So what's one piece of advice that you would like to leave them with?
Ooh. So I think if I could say anything, no matter what seat that you sit in, you need to understand that one is too small a number for greatness. So that might mean you need a mentor. That might mean you need to mentor someone else. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, when you're thinking about the legacy that you're going to leave and you're thinking about the impact that you're going to make, you cannot do that alone. And so you need to figure out how to reach out to get the mentor that you need, or how you can be the mentor for someone else, or what team members do I need to pull together so that we can work on that next big project. But one is always too small a number for greatness.
Ooh. One is always too small a number for greatness. I want y'all, listen, that's a mic drop. Mic drop moment there. I want y'all to put a pen or a sticky note by that one and put that on your fridge or your computer. So let us know how we can find you online, where we can purchase a copy of your book, and how our listeners can get in contact with you.
So you can find me across all social media platforms, that is LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram as Dr. Keena, DrKeena. And then you can purchase my book or find me online at www.launchtoimpact.org, not .com, launchtoimpact.org.
Love it. There we go. Yes. There we go. All right, y'all. So we still kicking it down here. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. All right, and we'll catch you on the next episode.